All right, so we are recording now, and I've used everybody's initials. I don't care about mine, but first thing that I want to share with y'all is this thing I've been working on today for you guys, ladies, and let me cancel that. So I gotta send this to Kiana too. Send it to her. Hey Kiana, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
All right, cool. I just sent you some slides that they just informational. They're gonna go with this today's class because we finishing up on agency. I think we got a real good feel on agency in terms of really what it does. Let me let me get to this. That's not it. This one. That's not it. I think this one. Okay, yeah, here it is. Here it is. All right. So I want you. So this is what we're going to talk about today because we really haven't talked about it. So what is a transaction broker or facilitator in the deal? All right. Number two, what is the difference between power of attorney and attorney in fact? You might see that on the test. What is a buyer brokerage tenant representation contract? So we're gonna go over that. When or why or when do agents have to disclose potential conflicts of interest? Why and when? What terminates agency? And that will complete agency for the most part. And then here are all the definitions. I should have just put definitions. Here are all the definitions I think y'all should know for agency before taking the test. It may be more, but I would know these definitely before I went to go take the test. And now it looks like a pretty substantial list, but they're all pretty easy. You should know what agency means to begin with. And I didn't put them in alphabetical order. I don't really like putting them in alphabetical order because that kind of they're not going to do them on the test in alphabetical order, but agency, specific special agency, they mean the same thing. And as I'm going through them, think to yourself, do I know what that is? And if you don't, then just like pay close attention to what you don't know. Agency, specific special agency. What is general agency? What is universal agency? What is a fiduciary? A principal client, they're the same thing. Here's your fiduciary duties: care, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, accounting, confidentiality. Realtor, I just went on ahead and gave y'all that definition. A realtor is a real estate professional that is a member of the National Association of Realtors. It's like a club or professional designation is what it said. All right. It's a designation. That's what a realtor is. If you don't join NAR, you can't call yourself a realtor. What is single agency? What is dual agency? What is open? What is an open listing? What is a net listing? What is an exclusive agency? What is an exclusive right to sell? What is a sub agent? Power of attorney, attorney in fact, what's express agency, implied agency, and material fact. Those are all the definitions that I would know before I went to go take the test. So the first thing, and I didn't put facilitator or down here because we're just going to talk about that, but I should have put it down there. What is a transaction broker or a facilitator? All right, so let's get started answering question number one right now. So and let me find you the video that I was going to play for this. Give me a second, real quick. All right, this is a pretty good one right here. Give me a second.
How many sales calls could you book if you sent 50,000 cold emails per month? My man Alex books 200.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Matty Miller with Pursuit Real Estate. Hope you're doing well today. We are here to talk a little bit about single agency versus being a transaction broker. You know what that means, and I think a lot of people are confused on what that means and who is what in the real estate world. So we're going to break that down in a very simplistic way for you here in just 1 second. All right, so a lot of people ask, oh, are you a single agent? Do you work as a transaction? Hey guys, what's going on? It's Matty Miller with Pursuit Real Estate. Hope you're doing well today. We are here to talk a little bit about single agency versus being a transaction broker and what that means. And I think a lot of people are confused on what that means and who is what in the real estate world. So we're going to break that down in a very simplistic way for you here in just 1 second. All right, so a lot of people ask, oh, are you a single agent? Do you work as a transaction broker? In the state of Florida, and I don't know the exact numbers, I would probably say that 9 out of 10 agents that you hire work as a transaction broker, which essentially what that means, if you're working with them, most people tend to think that their agent has their back. They're going to give them full disclosure. They're going to make sure that everything that they know about the property gets conveyed to that client. And that's not necessarily true when you're working as a transaction broker or a transaction agent. So the biggest difference between the two, and I'll break it down as very simple as I can. So a lot of you guys know me. You know that I've coached wrestling, football, baseball. I've officiated some sports as well, and I still officiate high school wrestling here in town. The easiest way to paint a picture of single agency versus transaction agent is referee versus coach. Okay, so if you're a coach of a team, in other words, I'm going to make the connection. If I'm a single agent, I'm a coach. Okay, I have a vested interest in my client getting taken care of. And what that means is the two differences between those. When it comes to a single agent, there's really 4 things that don't happen when you're a transaction broker. Those 4 things are loyalty, confidentiality, obedience, and full disclosure. Okay, so key being the word full disclosure. Okay, so what that means, that's a whole other conversation for another topic, but full disclosure as a coach, your vested interest, you're going to give your buyer every piece of information they can to get the best price that they can for them. If you're working as a transaction agent, which again, 9 out of 10 agents work as a transaction agent here in Florida, so they don't actually have to give you full disclosure. They don't have to be loyal to you. They don't have confidentiality in their agreement with the paperwork you signed. So that is different. Their job, they're the referee. They're the official. They get the deal together. They make sure it closes. Everybody goes on their way. So obviously you see the difference if you see an official over here or a coach. Let's say coach is my right hand because I think that's where I started. So a coach is over here on the right hand.
I want to buy your house.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there, y'all. Hold up.
No matter what condition it's in. If you need to sell your house for...
All right, so I'm gonna stop it right there because he just pretty much explained what I wanted to get over and across to you. Now, you have single agent, you have dual agency. And with those 2 types of agency, you have fiduciary duties. If you're just representing the buyer or the seller, no matter if you're just dealing with one of them, if you're just dealing with, say, for instance, just the buyer or the seller, you have fiduciary duties once you get into that contractual relationship. And we get into those relationships either through a listing agreement, one of these listing agreements down here, right? An open listing, a net listing, exclusive agency, exclusive right to sell, all right? And we won't really get into it with an open listing until we have a contract on the table, honestly. But what you want to think about when you're thinking about a transaction broker is they're just like a manager. They're like, I didn't like the coach referee analysis, which is one of the reasons why I stopped it. What a transaction broker is just thinking about somebody who manages a transaction that does not have any type of allegiance to either party. They're just there to explain, the process. If you have questions, the number one thing though that a transaction broker will make sure that they're responsible for is helping set the price, between the 2 people. So if we were to just go and Google transaction broker, we just need to know the definition of it. We don't need to know the ins and outs of it. We just need to know what a transaction broker does, right?
I'm sorry, real quick. Am I supposed to be seeing your screen?
No, not right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna pull it up now, but because I just went and typed up what a transaction broker is. But here it is. It says the transaction broker is a neutral third party who helps buyers and sellers complete a real estate transaction. They do not represent either party as a single agent, and they do not have fiduciary duties to either side. That's the definition. They're just going to manage it. You got questions on how you do this, right? How does a transaction broker work? They help the buyers and sellers complete a home sale. They operate honestly and fair. They account for all the funds and they have limited confidentiality. Remember that. When do you use a transaction broker? When time is of the essence, when saving money is the goal, when there is no signed agency agreement between the agent and the buyer. All right. And then they go through transaction brokers and stuff like that. But just remember, a transaction broker does not have an agency relationship with either one of them. They are there just to mediate. They're a mediator over the deal. And that's the same thing really as a facilitator. They don't have an agency relationship. Okay. So the way you want to conceptualize it for the test is you want to go down I always like to establish a hierarchy. Well, what's the first type of agency and the most likely type of agency that you'll have in most transactions? I'm going to be a single agent. What does that mean? I'm either going to represent the buyer or I'm going to represent the seller, not both. All right. So if you're the listing agent, you're likely to represent the seller. If you are, most new agents are buyer's agent because they just don't have a clientele to have somebody to list to list their property. But as you get more experience, you'll start getting listings through your hard work in terms of just trying to market yourself and get customers. But remember, single agency is an agency where you just represent one of the buyer or the seller. Then we go to dual agency. Dual agency is when you represent both, and it has to be consensual and in writing. All right. They both have to agree, and you represent both parties. All right. And then you have this thing called transaction manager where they don't have any agency relationship. Okay. There's no agency relationship. They're there just to mediate the transaction, help the buyer expeditiously do the things that they need help with, and help the seller expeditiously do the things that they need help with. That way, you don't have to have like the waiting on the buyer's agent to fill out a certain paperwork and send it to you, or you waiting on the seller's agent to get a disclosure. Or that one person is going to get all those documents and manage that stuff together. But they don't have an agency relationship with the person, and they get paid as the transaction coordinator for that deal. All right, it's typically a little bit less. Why people would do this, I'm not real sure. It's just it may be popular more in certain areas. I just think the old traditional way of selling houses is the best way to do it. Period, because you got your representative handling your best interest and all the fiduciaries that go along with that, and then vice versa for the other side. One other type of dual agency I want to point out. Oh, hold on one second, Charles. Let me. And I didn't. Okay, so yeah, I see what you were saying too. Hold on, y'all. Well, give me 1 second. Okay, my bad, my bad. Um, and so we just need to know the definition of transaction broker. So let me go ahead and do that right now on our sheet over here. And we just gonna go down here. I'll type transaction broker. Now, what I would do is if I was y'all, I'm gonna send this to y'all too. Is I would make my own definition up based on what we just read. And I'm gonna just put, first off, no agency relationship. That's between the parties. No agency relationship because there's no contract. And so okay, so no agency relationship between the parties. Or something like this, no agency relationship with buyer or seller. Facilitate I don't know why that didn't move over. Facilitates the transaction. I just put mediator. That's a little longer than I like, but until I really knew it, that's what I would probably use for that definition. All right, so that takes care of that for us. And I really don't want to go too much more into it because you might not even get a question on it. And if you do, it's going to be something light like it's going to be something light like what is are they giving you an example where there's no agency relationship, but this person's going through, and I'll give you some transaction broker questions. And there's going to be a couple transaction broker questions in here. So that one's taken care of. All right, here's another definition that you just need to know. And I have seen these on some practice tests. I don't know if I've ever seen it on the test. But know the difference between power of attorney and the attorney in fact. A power of attorney is a document. All right, so let's go down here. I don't think that I put a power of attorney is, and like what I like to do is let's just go Google it. And I'm trying to show you how I would study. This is how I would study. I'm getting on my computer. I'm gonna Google this immediately, and then I'm gonna get my definition from there. Or if I got a book that I really trust the definitions in, and all you're trying to do is that you're trying to understand what that word means. So for our class, I'm gonna just Google it, and just go do it like that, because I want to have y'all see a verbatim definition versus me giving y'all what it is. But a power of attorney is a document. All right, a power of attorney or POA is a legal document that gives someone authority to act on behalf of others. It could be specific duties. It could be everything. All right. A person who creates a power of attorney is called the principal, right? That's the principal. That's the person who's getting things done for them or hiring somebody. And the person who acts as on their behalf is called the agent. All right. Very unlikely that you'll ever deal with a power of attorney in real estate. Very unlikely, unless it's your parents or a family member or somebody like that. A general power of attorney, limited power of attorney, durable power of attorney, medical power of attorney. There's all types of power of attorney. We don't necessarily need to go into that level of detail. And for this class, we won't. But if you're interested, go ahead and read this. But we need to remember for the test that a power of attorney is a document that gives somebody authority to act on someone's behalf. Now, what we could do is we could copy that definition right there. We could say, okay, I like that. I'm not going to do anything else with that. We can go ahead and copy that, bring it back over to our sheet, and just paste it right in there. And then what you can do is you can format it. This is exactly what I would do as I was taking the test. This is how I would get all my information together. Now I've seen it, I read it, and I put it into a document that I'm going to probably print out or put in a book that I'm going to look at specifically for agency. More importantly, you guys are taking all of this in. We're going to be on contracts next. You're going to want to be organized to when you get ready to study for the test and you want to just look at agency, all this stuff is organized and you know where it came from and it's legit. It's not like haphazardly put together. So, you know, I would, you know, just put it in there like that, you know. So that's the power of attorney. An attorney, in fact, is an actual person. The attorney, in fact, is an actual person. So again, let's go to Google. That's the person who has the authority. So we're going to type that in there. It's going to come up. An attorney, in fact, is a person who is legally authorized to act on behalf of another person called the principal. They're the fiduciary or the agent. All right, and we gonna just what I'm gonna do just to make it quick for class is that I'm gonna just copy and paste this definition right into my definitions. Now, what I'm gonna do too, I'll probably make some note cards or flashcards, and I'll give me a paper clip. It'll be about 30 of them. I got them, you know, and then I'll just keep asking them, asking the questions. Now, when I'm answering the questions, like on these things that I'm gonna give y'all, most of them definition questions. Look through your cards and see if they can give you some hints about answering the question correctly. Like I said, this test is going to be an open book test. Do not, I mean, if you want to try to answer them without looking at anything, great. But if you get to a question that you don't know, don't answer it without knowing it and get it wrong. Everybody should get 100 on these tests. Like, I'm not going to give you the answers, but everybody should be able to get all the answers. And we'll go over them in Thursday's class. Now I can give y'all one, and then like save one when we get ready to get our. I got thousands of questions. So I don't know how it's 60 total questions. So I can give y'all all of them. If y'all want them all, I'll give you all of them. I think I'm gonna give them all to y'all. And because they're not hard. They're not hard questions. So but let's copy this and bring this over to this document. And what we're doing is really making a study guide, honestly. Right. So I'm gonna move that down to that there. And so now we got that as that, right? So we good. Let's make sure these are big. I really like him to be on one line, so that's what we're gonna try to do. Okay, so that's power of attorney. You'll never have a power of attorney probably in real estate at all. What Ohio tries to do is tries to let you know what the agency relationships are. What I mean by that is that most of the time you're going to be in a specific agency, special agency relationship, or hired to do one thing. That's a realtor, right? Now, sometimes, and rarely though, you might be as a realtor acting as a property manager, right? We're gonna go over these. I'm gonna show you. So let me highlight this right here, and then we'll be done with that. And I'm gonna go down here because I'm gonna get to these buyer broker representations and stuff. But let's go over. So let's fill in the blank on with these what is this? That's 8. Let's fill in the blank on some of these definitions. Now, if you know them, great. You can write them down, or you can wait for me to send them to you or whatever. But I'm going to send them to y'all, so y'all have them all to yourself. Okay, so general agency. I'm going to show y'all something, and then that it explains general agency very well. So I want to share this with y'all, and I can send this to y'all too. I just don't want to overwhelm y'all with like stuff, you know. So I don't be sending everything out that I have, but here it is. This is a very good article because this is straight from PSI too. So but let me bring it up and share my screen with y'all. All right, so what we're looking for is the definition of general agency, and I like the way they did it on here. And I will share this with y'all if y'all want to copy this as well, but right here. And it gives you an example. It says general agency. In general agency, the principal delegates continuous. Now, who's the principal? The seller, the owner. And what's delegating? Pretty much telling somebody what to do. It has to be a legal a directive or order or delegate, you know, when they delegate the authority to them. But the principal delegates continuous and ongoing range of tasks and functions within a firm. We just don't even worry about that within a firm. This is the definition. In general agency, the principal delegates continuous and ongoing range of tasks. It has to be more than one thing. Example, a property manager performs a range of tasks and functions such as a vendor, advertising, leasing, tenant eviction, maintenance, marketing, accounting, and so forth for the owner. That means that you're doing many things. Let's look at specific agency. Specific agency refers to a client principal employee that hires or engages authority for one specific task, buy, sell, house. That's what you're going to be. So we need to come up with a working definition for a general agent. And I think someone hired to in general agents, the principal delegates the agent to do many things. All right, that's what I'm gonna use for my definition. If you want to use it or change it when I send it to you, you can change it. But for my definition, I'm gonna use general agency, a principal hires an agent to perform many tasks. That's general agency. We're gonna turn that into 8. So got it on one line. What's universal agency? And I'll read it since I had already brought that up. So let me read that. All right, here we go again. Universal agency. It says in a universal agency relationship, the principal empowers. What is this? I can't see that word. I don't even know why they said that. Power of attorney. But they have a power of attorney. The agent / broker to perform tasks and actions that have the full authority based enabling the agent broker to sign on behalf of the principal. We're gonna shorten that. It's a power of attorney that has it where the principal allows the agent to act on behalf of them in a specific. Well, it could be everything or just something. Like you could have a medical power of attorney, or you could have like we just saw the medical power of attorney. You can have a general power of attorney, but it's a person that is doing everything for a person. You likely are not going to have that type of ever relationship with anybody in real estate, unless it's like your parents or unless it's like some family member that where you have something like that. Okay. So let's go back and add that to our list. And we know a principal, we're going to try to be quicker with these. A principal is hired to do everything. That's the best way I'm gonna remember it. A principal hires someone. It should have been fiduciary if I was gonna say that. Principal hires an agent to do everything. And this is being recorded, so this is if you're not keeping up, don't worry about it. It's going to be recorded and posted. All right, so that's that one. What is a fiduciary? And this is all I want you to say. Me as the agent. That's you. That's who you are. You're the fiduciary. And hopefully when y'all get when you get really into this and really study, you can go straight down and do this like I am. And all we're trying to do is come up with short definitions. All right. Principal client. The boss. Well, we don't want to put that. Let's just put the person who hired us. Changing it to sell their house. What is care? All right, I'm going to go back to that document. And again, anybody that wants me to share this with them, I will, because they had some really good, it broke everything out all in one place. So I liked it. All right, so here's this document again. And I like the way they did this in here. So care right here. Here's a definition of care. It's also, you also may see it on the test under skill and diligence. All right, what does care mean? The real estate sales professional is expected to perform his or her duties with diligence and reasonable competence and care. We're going to take that straight off of there. I might shorten it up a little bit, but we fill it in our definitions, and we don't go take the test unless we know these words. Don't even think you don't. I'm telling you, don't do it, because we don't want to waste that money, and it's defeating, and then you might only be ready to do it that time and went and took it, and now you got something else going on, and just next time we take it, we passing it. All right, care. I'll try to keep it on one line, but let's see if we can get rid of something. We could definitely get rid of. Yeah, we could just say the real estate agent right here. Or I am. Let's just go with real estate agent that is expected to be diligent and have reason, expected to be diligent and competent. That's what we're going to say. Expect to be diligent and competent. That's the definition of okay, what's obedience? Let's go back to that book. I like it because they were short, sweet definitions. Let's go back to that. And again, if y'all don't see my screen, y'all should be. Okay, now. Okay, what we were looking up, damn, I can't remember. Was it competence? I think it was. No, it wasn't competence. It was obedience. So we're looking for obedience. What's the definition of obedience? Right here. The fiduciary duties for obedience occurs when the real estate professional is required by law to act honestly and fairly and in good faith of being client. I don't know what that's about. Being clients, all of. Okay, so we're gonna shorten it. What does obedience mean? When, as an agent, you'll get certain things requested from the seller. And as long as they are and they're legal and they're reasonable in terms of what your duties have been that you said you were going to do. Like he can't say just like, hey, run to the store and get me a beer. Nah. It has to be something which would like your specific responsibilities for being a fiduciary for them as the principal. So I would probably say follow and obey the principal's lawful orders. That's what we're going to use for obedience. All right, and that's going to be follow and obey or not even regarding the property. Just let's just keep it at orders. We smart enough to know it has to be associated with the agreement that we had. So we're gonna turn that back down to 8 as well. Cool. Loyalty. What's loyalty? Let's see what they say over here on this thing with loyalty. And I think I was still sharing that document. So I just went back and added that over there. All right, what's loyalty? Loyalty, the first used fiduciary duty of the real estate professional for loyalty takes place when the real estate professional is required by law to place his or her interest above the client than of his or her own. Let's read that again. That was kind of the first used loyalty, the first used fiduciary duty of the real estate professional for loyalty takes place when the real estate professional is required by law to place his or her interests of the clients above that of his or her own. All right. Real estate professionals are required to provide in writing any interest in potential in any property that the client may be interested in before making any offers or other claims. Self-interest by real estate professionals is a violation of loyalty and is considered self-interest. So that goes to this one. Let me switch that real quick. And we was going to be doing this real quick. So let me go back here and show you that kind of right there, right here. We're going to take care of this right now. So let's go ahead and highlight that one. So you should do it immediately if there's any conflict of interest. If you don't do it, it's a breach of loyalty. All right, and disclosure, because you should have disclosed the potential conflict of interest before you even got in. You shouldn't even never got into a relationship with the person without disclosing that conflict of interest. Now it may come up while you in agency, but as soon as it happens, you should be disclosing it. Okay, so when immediately upon happening, if you don't have an agency relationship and that conflict of interest is there, you should not get into an agency relationship without letting them know. And it should be done immediately if you already do have an agency relationship and it's something interest came up that you didn't know about, you should then tell them immediately. All right. So loyalty is putting, and it was going to be simple, putting your clients, putting the principal's interest first. Well, I like the way they said. What did they say over here? Hold on, let's see what they said. Putting the principal's interest above those of ourselves. So, all right, let's turn that yourself. Okay, we'll do that. All right. Cool. So that's that one. Now, disclosure. Let's go to the document for that one. Disclosure. The fiduciary duty of disclosure occurs when a real estate professional is required by law to keep the client's information, to keep the client informed of all facts and information that could impact the client's decision on a transaction. Material facts are part of disclosure. Material facts is very broad definition and essentially equates to any fact or piece of information that could persuade or dissuade the client from making a cogent decision. So let's talk about that real quick. Now you got the types of disclosures that's about like the house and the condition of the house, and then you got personal disclosures. Material facts are mostly gonna, most of the time the disclosures of material facts about the property always have to be disclosed. And then you can't disclose any material facts about your client because then that's confidential information, and that goes to the last one, confidential. So I want to ask y'all a question. Should you disclose if someone was murdered in a house or if someone was committed suicide in the house?
Yes.
Is it required by law? We got somebody in the feed. Let's see what they're saying here.
I don't think so. Not by law.
Okay, so yeah, we're saying no, it's not required by law. Maria said no, it's not required. But what if the what would you do? And they're right, it's not required by in Ohio law. In Ohio, it's not required. That's what you should always say when you're talking about agency and disclosure of material facts, because that comes in the agency law. It depends on what state, because some states do require you, but in Ohio, it's not required that you disclose it. But here's where people get in trouble with that. It could be a material fact about the property, right? And then that's how, and then what we need to understand it, because that's one of our definitions, is what is a material fact? Let's go and go to Google real quick and look up what a material fact is. Now you should disclose that. I think you should disclose that, and you should let the your client know that this could be considered a material fact about the property that we're not disclosing. And what is material fact? All right. Any information that could affect a reasonable person's decision to buy, sell, or lease a property. And that's what a material fact is. And that should be disclosed. It's not required to be disclosed, but you might want to tell your client to, hey, let's disclose that. It may impact the value something. I had that happen recently. I had, hold on. Give me a second. You got to get back to here. So yeah, that's disclosure. So disclosure, what are we gonna put for disclosure? The agent is required to disclose everything and anything that may have impact on the client's decision. That's what I would put for disclosure. That's what we'll put for disclosure. Let me bring up the screen so I can share it. So I'll put disclose everything and anything that may impact your client's decision. Right? Make that 8. Cool. Accounting. We're gonna move it along, but we're gonna go a little faster. Let me pull this up here. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Give me a second. I gotta find it. My bad. All right, accounting. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over accounting and confidential, and then we'll fill them in as we get back to that. Accounting, the fiduciary duty of accounting occurs when the real estate professional is required by law to keep records of all costs, funds, and other monetary considerations for the client. Again, fiduciary duty of accounting occurs when a real estate agent or real estate professional is required to keep records of cost, funds, and other monetary considerations for the client. Accounting records are typically held and maintained under this fiduciary responsibility. And it says something in the state of Connecticut, deposits are earnest money. We don't have to worry about that. But so for accounting, we're going to put it's a duty that requires the real estate professional to keep records of cost and funds. All right. To account for what I probably would put is the real estate duties requirement to account for all funds and cost and monetary considerations for the principal. All right. And hell, I'm gonna forget that by the time I go over confidential, so I'm gonna just go ahead and go back and do it now. Accounting is the real estate agent's responsibility to account for cost, fees, and we'll put monetary considerations. What did I spell wrong? Okay. What did I do? Oh, okay, I see. Monetary considerations for the principal. All right, let's shrink that. And so I'm gonna try to get this on one line. I'm gonna say, boom, the responsibility. Yeah, I can't get it there. What can I use? Consideration. What can I be short with? The items. So what the principal and then confidentiality. We're gonna stop that, go back to that document. So confidentiality on this, it says the fiduciary duty of confidentiality occurs both during and after the real estate transaction. All right. The real estate professional is required by law to keep their clients' affairs, finances, situations, or anything about the client in confidence during and after the transaction. This is the only fiduciary responsibility that extends beyond the great agency relationship between the client and the real estate professional and brokerage. Example, if your client informs you that they are filing bankruptcy and are selling their property and find themselves 2 years later as the buyer to a new client, the seller then the real estate agent professional is obligated not to disclose the previous client's financial or economic situation or status unless the information could be found out at that time in the future. Pretty much just keep stuff confidential. You know what to keep confidential. Social security numbers. You're not gonna have you ain't even have like account numbers and stuff like that. You might come across a social security number or an account number like on an earnest money check or something like that, but just keep the stuff confidential. Now remember, if the law or something comes up to where you get a subpoena or something for court, then you have to divulge it. So just keep your client's personal information confidential. That's what I'm just what I'm gonna put for that definition. All right. Keep your client's personal information private before or during and after the agency relationship. This is going to be too long. Is terminated. Right. Let's see if well, yeah, that's going to be too long. But let's see if we can. Yeah, but don't look like I'm able to get that one on one line. We have to work. We have to do it like that. All right. So that's that. Now, single agency. We don't need to. Well, it's on that guide, that book. Let's just see what they say. No, we're not. We're gonna make this up on our own. We should all know this. Single agency is representing either the buyer or seller, right? That's it. Not both. Let's put not both too. Not both. Cool. Dual agency representing both buyer and seller with written consent. Or just let's say with written consent of both parties. Let me get the open listing. What's the open listing? Let's see what they say an open listing is over here. I'm interested to see what they say. Let me see here. Share my screen. Are y'all looking at, what document are y'all looking at? Y'all not looking at me type this, is it? Are what y'all looking at the actual document?
It's no, it's the where you was typing.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me. All right. This is what I want y'all to see. Okay, so we got there. Let's jump down. Let's do express agency real quick. What was I looking for? I want to get off the sing. What was that? What were we looking at? Hold on, let me see. Hold on, I can't remember. Open listing. Okay, open listing. Let's way back up here. Here's the listing types right here. I know I saw it. Let me go over this too with you real quick. There's another type of dual agency that you're going to come across with, and this is probably, honestly, this might be even more frequent than you actually representing both you have a brokerage, right? So let me explain it. Who said that they were coming to Brick House? I think Jasmine said that they coming to Brick House. Whoever said that they were coming to Brick House, let's just use them as an example. All right. So Jasmine, yeah, you said you were coming to Brick House. So cool. So say for instance, I get a listing and it's out there, it's a nice property, whatever, it don't matter. And Jasmine comes along and she says, hey, I got a buyer for that. And so she brings the buyer, I got the listing, and everything goes under Brick House, but I'm not the dual agent. Jasmine represents her client, I represent my client. That's still dual agency for the broker. It's not, the agents themselves don't have dual agency, but that's still dual agency for the broker, okay? And it's what you see down here on this sheet. The broker firm is considered a dual agent because both of the agents from that brokerage are doing the deal. So the broker's a dual agent. Jasmine has a single agency relationship with her client. I have a single agency relationship with my client, okay? And it says it here, two agents. One agent in the brokerage represents the buyer, and the same brokerage represents the seller landlord for the same transaction. That's dual agency. And you see it under here. I don't want y'all to forget that. So in a brokerage, you can have a single agent, dual agent. That single agent be a dual agent to two people, or two agents from the same brokerage can have dual agency for the brokerage. That's another form of dual agency that we really haven't talked about. All right. And in that instance, I don't think they have to sign a dual agency agreement. I don't think they have to sign or consent to it because, in a sense, they're not a dual agent. The broker is. You might want to still disclose that, though. Like both of the agents. I mean, you see both of the names and you're going to sign an agency disclosure form. So, but I don't want y'all to miss that type of agency. All right. So, what were we going over here? Let me see here. So we were going over open listing. We just can blow through these. We know what they are, but I thought I saw them on here and I wanted to kind of go over them with y'all on here, but I don't see them no more. So yeah, I don't. I'm surprised. Thought they were in here. All right, so let's just go ahead and make them up ourselves. Let me share it. We know this. So what is an open listing? We can go to Google and get what an open listing is, or we can make it up ourselves. An open listing is when there is no exclusive relationship with any broker period. The broker who brings the buyer gets the commission. And I know I'm not gonna be able to put that on one line. All right. So that's what open an open listing is. There's no exclusive listing with a broker. There's no exclusive relationship with any broker. The broker who brings the buyer gets the commission. What is a net listing? The net listing is when the seller nets a desired amount and the agent gets the remainder. We're gonna put illegal in some states, violation of fiduciary duties. And I would try, like, I'm just doing it, but I could go back and make these um little smaller. But for right now, I just want to get them in there. Now, exclusive agency is when this is how I'm putting this down. Only the owner seller can sell the house for you for the agent, not to get a commission. Period. We can get rid of this. We just put the seller. Okay. And that way we get that one on one line. Exclusive right to sell. The best listing type. No matter who sells the property, you get your commission. The agent gets the commission. All right. We can get rid of best type of listing. We know that. Because I want it to fit on the same line. All right. Cool. We did power of attorney. All right, let's go on here and see what they say sub agency is. We're going to go over express agency, applied agency. We did material fact, right? I thought we did a material fact. Did I add that one up here somewhere? All right, I'll add that one in. And then this one here, transaction broker. So we only got 3 more to do before those are all the definitions. Express agency, implied agency, material fact, which we already did in sub agent. So let's go back to this thing and go over sub agency. I know it can be a little bit dry, but once we get it done, we can move. All right, so and then I got to go over termination of agency, and that's going to be quick. All right, so we will look at sub agency, and this one I didn't really like the example of sub agency on this one when they were doing it, but I'm going to give you here's their example of sub agency. A salesperson who is a sub agent of the broker who is the agent for the seller. So the broker has to have a relationship with the seller already, say a listing agreement. And say, for instance, like I go on vacation and I call Jasmine up, like, hey, Jasmine, I'm going to be on vacation in a couple of weeks. Why don't you handle these clients for me? If they have any needs, if you could take care of it for me, and I'll shoot you a, 25% or commission off the deal. Jasmine said, okay, cool. I got to tell Jasmine some information about the sellers, when not to show the property, all that type of stuff. Jasmine has just now become a sub agent, and anything confidential that I tell Jasmine, she has to keep it confidential as well. All right. So here's the example. It says a sub agent of a broker who is an agent of the seller or buyer. It could be either or. A cooperating broker, selling broker may become a sub-agent of the listing broker if they both agree to represent the seller. Now that's kind of like that. But the example that I gave you, you could be having to work with a buyer and say, hey, can you work with this buyer? I'm gonna be out of town. I'm not gonna be able to service them the way that they need to be serviced. Can you take care of this for me? And that's what a sub-agency is a sub-agent. Let's think of what we want to put. I just want this one. I'm gonna just go to Google and get the definition. It's probably gonna be easier. But that's what a sub agent is. And let's just go to Google and get the definition. And I'm gonna copy and paste it right in there. We use that one. All right, it says a real estate professional who helps a buyer find properties, but who is not the listing agent or a seller. They work in the direction of the primary agent. All right, so we're gonna use that. and keep it moving. And I don't know, here, this is what it said right here. So I don't know if y'all saw that, but this is, y'all can see that in what it says right there. And then we'll go and put that on the paper. All right. So there we go. And so now it's not consistent with the other ones because it's control. Let's see here. Let me do this because it's not in bold. So let me just do this real quick. Stay professional. Helps. Buyers find, or we let's put buyers or sellers buy or sell a, a home but is not the primary agent. We can leave it like that. Give me a second, Charles. All right, so that's that one. And then we just got to do this one down here. And just making sure everything be consistent so we can have it like it should be, and it'll be nice and neat for y'all when I send it to y'all. So this is like a study guide. This is gonna have all the definitions on there. I'm gonna get rid of this stuff, but these will be like a definition study guide, and you can put them on note cards or whatever you want to do. let's go ahead and knock out this material fact. And that pretty much was anything that would cause a person to make a decision. I thought I wrote that down, but Mhm. All right, so that's material fact. We just got two left. We did everything else. We got express agency and implied agency. We can just do this. We don't even really need to look at it. Express agency is an agency relationship that is agreed to in writing or verbally. And we'll put in some states. That's what it is. And then I'll go back to the book and let y'all see it for yourself. But that's what I would put for my definition of express agency. An implied agency occurs through the agent's actions, not in writing. Emphasis on someone's actions. All right, so we done with that. So we got to go over the buyer representation contract and what terminate agency. And just go to that document and look at these last two: implied agency and express agency. All right, here we go. Express agency. Let me bring this in too, so y'all could perhaps see this here a little bit more. All right, so here it is. It says this here. Legal express agency relationship between a real estate professional and a client can be created either verbally or in written form for many states. And they say in Connecticut, express agency must be written in written form and signed by both parties. Listing and buyer broker agreements for our examples. The agreement sets forth various authorizations and duties as well as requirements for compensation. All right. So it's pretty much what it is a written or verbal agreement that is going to set forth the duties as well as compensation and authorizations. Implied agency is going to be an agency relationship that can arise by implication, intentionally or unintentionally. That's the key. You can intentionally be doing an implied agency like the relationship, or you can unintentionally be doing it through your actions. Says implication means that the parties act as if there was an agreement. For example, if an agent promises a buyer to do everything possible to find the property at the lowest possible price, and the buyer accepts this proposition, there may be an implied agency even though there is no specific agreement. Even if the agent does not wish to establish agency relationship, the agent's actions may be construed to imply a relationship. All right. All right, so that's that. Those are the definitions. There are no other definitions that I think you should know before you take the test from agency. I think if you know all of those, you're gonna get what you need to get out of agency. The next step is to talk about what terminates a contract. Now, what have we done? We've talked about how we get into this relationship with them, but what gets us out of the relationship? Sometimes things don't go well. Sometimes we do our job and we sell a house or get the person a house, and then our agency relationship terminates because we've done that one specific thing that they've hired us to do. Sometimes stuff happens, like the property could get destroyed. So we need to know all of these things that's going to get us out of that contract. Some of them being negative, some of them being positive. So up here, it's going to show you some of the things that terminate agency. Right here. Expiration. What is expiration? Me and you had an agreement, a start date and a finish date. I didn't do my job by the time it expired. That's going to terminate agency. All right. And so you want to know that for the test. Like if I say I'm going to sell your house in 6 months and 6 months coming, I don't sell it and that date passes, our agency is terminated because of that expiration date. Completion or performance, that means you've done your job. Everybody's performed. The seller performed, the buyer performed, you got your check, the property transferred. The agency terminates with the completion or performance of your duties. Termination by force of law. All right. It could be that a bankruptcy or something like that could do it. A bunch of stuff could do it. But it could be terminated because the law says so. It could be a bankruptcy. It could be a foreclosure that terminates the relationship. Destruction of property and death of the principal. Right. You cannot assign a service contract. All right. A listing agreement is an employment contract between a broker and the owner. You cannot assign that. All right. You can sign a purchase agreement, but you cannot assign a service contract. So a listing is not assignable. If something happens, like destruction of the property or death to the principal, that's it. If the broker dies, that's it. Now, if the agent was to move on, then that's not it because the agreement is not between the agent and the broker. It's between, the agent and the seller. It's between the broker and the seller. Okay. Mutual agreement. I don't like your services. I don't like the way you do business as the seller. I think we should both just go ahead and parse this deal and mutually agree to not deal with each other. All right. So those are 4 of the ways, but I want to go a little bit further than that on termination of the agreement of the agency, and it's going to be in that book in the book, the Ohio real estate book. This one right here. Let me share my screen with y'all. Should be down here. Causes of termination right here. Performance, we talked about that. Infeasibility, something happened with it. We can't get it done. We can't get it done. Mutual agreement, right? We can terminate it by mutual agreement. So this is in your book, but those 5 in there are mostly likely to be the ones. Let's talk about some other ones. These are the ones you'll get questioned about on the test. Definitely destruction of property. So know that destruction of property is going to terminate that. Now they're going to try to trick you because they'll say termination of agency. That's these. Terminating the contract is different, right? Termination in contract law, they're going to say what can terminate a contract. That's a little bit different than terminating agency. I'm going to point out that difference when we get to contracts. Involuntary transfer, where the person is getting foreclosed on. That's an involuntary action. It's foreclosure is a forced sale. It might be through non-payment of taxes or the mortgage. Incapacitation, the person was in an accident, they can't sign any paperwork or anything, they incapacitated or they might die. Invalidity, somehow something's not valid and you can't get it done. Expiration, breach, obviously breaching a contract can terminate contracts. If you're not doing what you said you were going to do, and this is what we agreed to, then you breached a tenet of the contract or the agency agreement, and I can get out of that. Abandonment means like if I pick up the phone call and I'm trying to reach the seller and I can't get in contact with them, they've abandoned the contract or agreement. That's going to probably terminate it. I had that happen where I couldn't get in contact with a seller. I called my broker, and I believe she said like, hey, just, you know, go ahead and note it in the system, make notes and everything, and what can you do? So those are the things that's going to terminate a contract right there. All right. And then that goes into brokerage, y'all. That's it for agency. And so now it's really time to take all the definitions that we learned, and put, oh, you know what? I got to go over the buyer broker agreement real quick. Hold on, let me do that. I forgot all about that. It's so new. It's very similar to the listing agreement, but this is what I would think about the buyer broker agreement. It's very similar to a listing agreement, but it's for the buyer. All right. So let's see if they talk about this thing here. Yeah, here's a couple of things here. Let's go over this real quick because I think we should read it. Expiration. According to state law, a listing or a buyer's agency agreement must have this is for both of them. And this is kind of us going over the buyer agency agreement in a sense. Must have a definite expiration date. For example, this agreement should expire October 31st of whatever year. Upon expiration, the agency relationship is terminated unless the client signs a new agreement. All right, they have to sign a new agreement. More discussion will follow under state rules and regulations. That's what they're saying. All right. Completion of performance. When the contract with the client is fully performed, i.e. the listed property sold, or the buyer client finds a property is looking for, the contract with the client is considered terminated. That terminates a contract. Termination by force, operation of law. If the contract with the client is signed under duress or as a result of fraud, a court may declare it to be null and void. Under certain circumstances, the listed property may be taken over by the court, such as in the case of foreclosure, bankruptcy, or condemnation. Foreclosure, obviously, it could be tax or mortgage foreclosure. Bankruptcy, clearly we know what bankruptcy is. You can't pay your bills and you're in financial difficulty. Or condemnation, that's a governmental action to where the government starts the process of taking the property for public good. And the process is called condemnation. I'm sorry, the process is called eminent domain. The act or the process is called condemnation. So the right is called eminent domain. The process is called condemnation. That's really actually take it and demo it, and that's condemnation. Eminent domain is the right. All right. Insolvency, bankruptcy. All right. Of the broker. Oh, now this is for the broker. If the broker goes bankrupt, then either party go bankrupt is going to terminate the contract. Of the broker will result in termination of agency because the listing is a contract that requires personal service. Therefore, if the brokerage who has the listing, not the salesperson, is no longer in operation because of bankruptcy, loses the license, etc. All right. Destruction of property. Destruction of property is pretty simple. Leads to the concept known as impossibility to perform or performance. The property, if the property gets burned down and gets demolished, this will be the reason to terminate the listing. Clearly, if the property blows away in a windstorm or something like that, that terminates the listing. It's not there anymore. Where's the what am I servicing? There's nothing there for me to do a job on. Death, insanity, or of the principal or the broker results in termination of the agreement because the listing/broker agency agreement requires personal performance of the parties. Remember, this is the agreement that we're signing to each other, or this that we're signing that I have a job to do. You have a role to play as the seller or the buyer. I have a job to do as the agent, and with that job comes fiduciary duties, right? That's a personal agreement that I'm going to sign with the seller to do a certain job. The buyer's agency agreement requires personal performance of the parties. If either party cannot perform, the contract terminates. Mutual agreement. The broker and client may mutually agree to terminate the agency relationship for various reasons, such as a decision by the owner to take the property off the market or the buyer client who may choose to stop looking for a property. That's it. That is agency. And everything goes into that relationship. We've been talking about relationships for the last three class. Well, this is about the last three classes. And then if you came set to Saturday's class, we did some more stuff on Saturday's class. But we need to know the relationships. And it's all here in these definitions. If you know these definitions, let me go back here. If you know these definitions, here, I think it's here. No, that's my downloads folder.
It was a Saturday class.
Yeah, it was a Saturday
That's
class.
what I was about to say.
On Thursday, I said whoever was interested on joining Saturday, let me know. And two people text me like, yeah, I'm interested. So if you wasn't here Thursday, then you didn't know that it was a Saturday class, and that's my bad. But I'll send it out. And they said because everybody it was at 10:30. So I don't know if everybody would even been able to get it up. But what I'll do is I send it out every time, no matter what. And if you can make it, you can make it. But yeah, we had a Saturday class at 10:30, and I forget who came, but I think it was Maria and Jasmine. I think it was those two. And all we did was we went over in depth of what we went over the first two classes. Yeah, so it wasn't like we covered anything really new, but we did talk about like the listing agreements and that type of stuff. So I will send that out to y'all. No matter if y'all know about it or not, I just include everybody on those. All right. So let me do this because I want to send y'all this test that's coming up next. So let me pull that up real quick, and we'll go over it. We'll go over it. You know, I always like answering a couple questions, but we covered a lot of. We got rid of the definitions. So if y'all know those definitions, y'all gonna be in a good place for this test. Period. Like that, I don't know how many definitions it was, but those aren't really. Let me ask y'all this: how many people having problems with the definitions, and if so, which ones? Anybody having problems with them? And then I want to emphasize too about that buyer broker thing. It's just like the listing agreement, but it's for the buyer and the agent. You have an exclusive right to show exclusive agreement with the buyer, which means they can't go out and hire somebody else. They have to deal with you, and you have to have the agreement up front of what you're gonna, how long you're gonna represent them, how much they're gonna pay you. Everything has to be disclosed up front. All right. Now, the other thing is that that's like the exclusive right to represent. It's another one where you don't have any rights, and then it's another one where they could work with multiple people. Obviously, you want to have them with an exclusive right to represent. You do not want to be dealing with those people with and you know what I didn't do agency. Let me put this up there too. So it was a definition for agency. A relationship. This is how I want y'all to remember. A relationship created with a listing agreement or purchase agreement or buyer broker agreement, buyer broker agreement. Okay, there we go. So we got all the definitions taken care of, and we good. All right, and so I'm gonna send you all these definitions, or y'all can if I send them to y'all, y'all can edit them, you know. So I'm gonna just send them to y'all instead of having y'all just send them to y'all instead of having y'all like copy them and stuff, you know. I mean, or take a screenshot of them. All right, so those definitions are done. I'll send those out. Let me see here. I wanted to bring up that other document and then share that with y'all. All right, so here we go, y'all. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's try to knock out we got about 20 minutes left. we can go, we can go longer, but I don't want to, I think this is a great start and finish to agency because we're getting ready to just start answering questions for like the next couple classes on agency. And then we're gonna leave it alone. So I'm gonna share my screen with y'all. And I want y'all to, remember how we do it. We ain't here trying to get them right, but we just trying to eliminate the two worst answers. These are different questions, but these are PSI questions. You see that down there, PSI real estate course, right? And this is from 2020. So this is before the law was changed. All right. And so let's deal with number one. Let me zoom this in for y'all so y'all can see it. And matter of fact, let's do this, y'all. Let's do this. Everybody do number one, but number one, let's have Angela answer number one. Everybody do number two.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, why I gotta be number one?
Okay, well, Angela don't want to do it. She number four. Angela gonna
Okay,
do
there we
number
go.
four. All right, we're gonna have you do number four. All right, we're gonna go backwards now. Angela, you're gonna do number four. Maria,
Okay.
we're gonna answer all of them. But Maria, you do number three. Kiana, you do number two. And Jasmine, you do number one. All right, go ahead and read your question. And then we're gonna have you answer it. Now, if you don't know it, well, we're gonna eliminate. You ain't even gotta really eliminate it, but just we're gonna eliminate. Now, if you can't participate, just participate in the chat. If you can't like talk or anything like that, you got to participate in the chat and tell us what you think the answer is. But I'll read it. So go ahead, everybody go to read their question. I'm gonna be right back.
Did he assign everybody a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did anybody hear what Kiana's question was?
Well, Jasmine's question is number one. So I just know which one. I know you don't have number one.
I have three.
Okay. Hmm. Anybody else?
I know I have four.
So that means I'm number two.
So you probably number two.
Okay.
All right, who want to go first? Who first?
Jasmine.
All right, Jazz, you four?
I'm one. Yeah,
You're one.
yeah, I'm one.
All
Which
right.
of the
Go ahead.
Which of the following is true regarding an open listing given to four different brokers and one of them sold it? A, they all split the commission. B, 50% of the commission goes to the one who sold it and the other 50% is distributed between the other brokers. C, an open listing is illegal. D, only the broker who sold the property receives a commission and the others get nothing. So
Okay.
the worst one I would eliminate first
Mhm.
is C, an open listing is illegal.
Okay, I agree.
And the second one I would eliminate is A, they all split the commission.
Okay, so that leaves us B and D as the two answers to select. Read the question over again.
Okay,
Go ahead.
which of the following is true regarding an open listing given to four different brokers if one of them sold it?
All right. Get it.
Between B and D, I would eliminate B and I would select D. Only
Right.
the broker so the property receives a commission and the others get nothing.
Anybody disagree with that? Okay, good. I'm glad nobody disagree with it. All right. That's correct. Kiana.
Okay, all but which one of the following are proper responsibilities of the listing agent? I'm gonna eliminate A, loyalty to the principal, B, due diligence and skill. I'm gonna, it's gonna be between C and D, and I'm gonna say, does that supposed to say identification?
Hold on.
Accounting for,
Okay, so okay, so it says indemnification. Okay, go ahead.
and then the
No,
last one,
hold on. Do we all know what indemnification means?
I don't, I
This
thought
is
it was,
this
I,
hold on, real quick. This is where what I'm saying. We cannot continue studying until we know what that word means. So this is how this look, watch this. Where my damn phone at? Hold up. I don't got it. It ain't down. Not the one that I can talk to. But anyway, I could just ask Siri what that word meant. But we gonna go. I'm about to go get my phone. Hold on. I gotta find it. But I ain't gonna worry about it. We just gonna look it up. All right.
Wait,
So,
real quick. Can you scroll up so I can read the rest of the answers for question number 4?
all right, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
You got it?
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
So that's what I mean, y'all. Do not go on until you know the definition of that word. Now, if this was like land use or something like that, maybe we'd go ahead. This agency, we know we got to get everything in agency right. All right. So indemnification in real estate, what does that mean? A contractual agreement that protects one party from financial losses caused by another. All right. A contractual agreement that protects one party from financial losses caused by another. So you put my property under contract. I had 3 other people that wanted to buy the house. You played around and breached. Now I lose. So it's a contractual agreement that protects one party from the other, some other party doing some messed up stuff. Okay. And it's about financial losses caused by another party. All right. So now we know what that means, right? That's what that means. And here's the question again, Kiana.
okay.
All right. So you eliminated A and D.
And I'm gonna eliminate C,
Okay.
and I'm gonna choose D.
All right. So D is correct.
Obtaining,
Because here's the thing. It says all but which of the following. That's a trick question. That's a trick question. All but which of the following. Do we have loyalty to our principal? Yes, we do. Do we have due diligence and skill? We should know that there's our fiduciary duties. And we have accounting, but we don't have a responsibility to find the best financing for the buyer. And we're the listing agent. So D is the right answer. All right, who's up next? That's going to be you, Jazz.
Okay.
Jasmine, right?
No, Maria.
Maria, my bad. Go ahead, Maria.
Okay. Listing agent knows that seller is anxious and willing to take less than the listing price. The buyer asks if the agent recommends any other price besides the asking price. Agent must A, be honest and indicate that seller will accept less. B, tell the buyer that seller indicated that he will not accept less under any circumstances. C, tell the buyer that he can make an offer, but the agent can guarantee nothing. D, call the seller and ask him if he should tell the buyer that the seller will take less.
That's a good question. Oh, this is a good question right here. You got the hardest question of them all because this is not really a definition question. This is like principles of practice. So let me do this real quick, Maria, real quick. Let me just read it aloud. The listing agent knows that the seller is anxious and willing to take less than the listing price. So what that means is that we call it a motivated seller. The seller's motivated. They want, for whatever reason, they ready to get rid of it, and they may take less. They want a fast transaction. The buyer asks the agents. The buyer asks the agents. I'm sorry. The buyer asks if the agent recommends any other price besides the asking price that the agent must, and then this goes into your answer. So go ahead, Maria, take it from there. Which one we eliminating first?
So I'm going to eliminate A. Be
Good
honest
job.
and indicate that seller will accept less.
Good job.
And I will eliminate D. Call the seller and ask him if he should tell the buyer that the seller will take less. And my answer would be C.
Hold on 1 second. Let me
Uh-oh.
see that.
Okay.
Call the seller. Let's talk about that one. Call the seller and ask him if he should tell the buyer that he will take less. That's not so bad. Hey, look, I got this offer. He asking me, what do you want? Do you want me to tell him you'll take less, or you steadfast at the listing price? So I sometimes we can't get rid of all three of them, but I mean, all two of them. I kind of like that one. I don't know the answers to these questions either. You see what I'm saying though? Hey, man, I got this guy over here want to buy the house. He asking if you will take less. What do you want me to tell him? You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell him that the buyer can make an offer, but the agent can guarantee nothing.
That's gonna still be the right answer. That's still gonna be the right answer. But that C is the right answer. So let me not confuse that. But I do want to explain that last one too. That is maybe something that you would do, but C is the answer. Okay, on that one. See, because right here it says, tell the buyer that the seller indicated that he will not accept less under any circumstance. We didn't see that up here.
Right.
Because he may have said, look, you bring me an offer.
Right.
Because see, here's the thing about this. That number B, letter B. Just bring me an offer. Because when I get it, if it's different than the number I want, we're gonna line through it and we're gonna get the number I want or put the number that I want. I need the process to be started, right? So if I'm asking 100 grand for the house and you saying you want 95, bring me that. Because I might line through that and say 100, send it back to you, and you might line through it and say 98, and it may go back and forth until we get to that point where we both agree and ain't willing to settle no more. All right. So, but the answer is, see, that's a really good question because it gets you to think. But the answer, see, in this instance, it's the best answer. And it's not as obvious as in the other questions. All right. All right. That was a real good question right there. All right. Angela, you up next.
Okay. As a buyer's agent, a broker feels the property is overpriced, but buyer indicates willingness to offer full price. Broker must do which of the following: have the buyer sign a full price offer presented to the seller for a fast sale. B, tell the buyer to offer less and not present an offer unless the buyer agrees to lower the price. C, advise the buyer as to what the fair market value should be and leave it up to her. Or D, urge the buyer to offer full price because the broker always has a duty to the seller no matter what type of agency is created. All right, so I think I want to get rid of B. Tell the buyer to offer less and not present an offer unless the buyer agrees to a lower price.
Yeah, that'll get you to lose your license.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get rid of D. Urge the buyer to offer full price because the offer broker always has a duty to the seller no matter what type of agency is created.
So far, so good.
And now I'm conflicted between A and C. I'm gonna go with my gut and say C, advise the buyer as to what the fair market value should be and leave it up to her.
That's exactly what you should do.
Ooh, okay.
That's exactly what you should do.
Okay.
The reason is and I don't think enough of agents do this. And it's gonna be very hard because it's gonna be about your money. It's gonna be very hard. And what I mean by that is that if you don't know market values and how to determine that the property is overpriced, then what you end up doing is having your buyer buy something that's overpriced. Like that could be detrimental, right? And then if it's in a, so like say for instance, it's in a market that's kind of soft and it's always been soft, like it's just, like some areas in South Euclid is kind of like that, where it's like it's South Euclid, but it's kind of like Cleveland and it's kind of like a transition area. And, you know, you don't overpay in some of those areas because you'll never make it up. You'll never get it back. And unless the market keep appreciating, and sometimes that don't happen. So I've actually been working with a couple of realtors from my brokerage on valuation, like how to determine value. And it's all like when you're determining value, you never just like use one thing to determine the value. You have multiple indicators of value. You might use the sales comps in the neighborhood. You might want to look at sales to assessment ratios. You might want to use a price per square foot. And you do all of these different models, and then you kind of see, okay, this is about where the value is. These properties up here are selling at $60 a square foot. That if they're in this type of condition and with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, these properties are selling, at 150,000. So that is the right answer. C is the right answer. And so being able to do a competitive market analysis and being able to determine what tier to market you in is very important. So all of y'all got your question right of the day. And these are the type of questions that I'm going to give y'all. All right. So I'm going to send y'all these questions here. And I'm going to do this right now. Hold on. Let me do this right now. Send the whole email to the class here real quick. Second, y'all. And that's going to be it. Let me ask real quick, is everybody getting the agency, and why do y'all understand why I wanted to start first with agency?
No, why?
So,
Oh,
go ahead. Who was that? Jazz? That's Jasmine? Go ahead, Jazz.
yeah. Kind of based off of, when we originally looked at the PSI book and when it was breaking down the questions, how many questions, the percentage of questions that's on the test. I know between agency and contract, I'm assuming is more questions. So I guess I would think you would have started with it because it's a lot to cover. But if we get majority of the agency and just the majority of what the test is apparently go cover based off the percentages, we'll have a better chance of knowing the information, eliminating and passing the test.
So yeah, that's definitely what I wanted to do. Is it definitely corresponds with the with how many questions on the test, and it's just that very important a topic. But here's the thing too, contracts has more questions on a test than agency. So why not start with contracts? Or principles and practice has just as many questions on the test as agency. So why not start with principles and practice? It's simple, y'all. If you do not know what you're hired to do, how can you do it? How can you charge for it? How do you even know what the relationship is? Right? So before you talk about a contract, before you talking about let me list your property, before you talk about any of that stuff, you have to understand the relationship that you and this person are about to get into, be it your broker or a homeowner or a buyer. If you do not understand what you're about to do for them, what else can in real estate can you do? Like, that's the essence. Agency is the essence and the creation of this relationship that you're promising to do something for somebody that's about to change their life. Either you're about to sell their house and they're about to get a big bag of money or pay off a mortgage, or they're about to give somebody else a big bag of money to live in the house and obligate themselves to the house for on a 30-year mortgage. Hence the reason why you got to know how to value a property. You got to know when your client is overpaying for a property. You got to be able to be at least diligent enough to understand condition issues with a property. All of these things go to your role as your fiduciary, as the fiduciary for your principal. This person is hiring you to sell probably one of the most valuable assets in what that they own. And it's all relative. You're not going to have, most of the time, you're not going to have a millionaire selling a $100,000 house. You're going to have a millionaire selling a $2 or $3 million house, right? You're going to have somebody that maybe just be in the working class that house is all they had and the only asset in the family. It might be a family heirloom, and it's very important to them. And what I mean by is relative at the money that at the socioeconomic status that they have. So, you know, I might be a middle class person with a decent job, got a little bit of money in my pension and retirement, and my house I bought in the 30 years ago, and now it's worth 10 times as much as I bought it for, and I'm getting ready to retire. So you have to understand that relationship and how serious that relationship is, because you're about to do something that's about to change somebody's life, either help them, whatever, but you're about to help them dispose of a property. I'll give you an example of a client that I'm working with currently. And hold on one second. This is going to end the video for tonight. So real quick, and then I'm going to let y'all go. But